Hi. Over the last couple of days, there has been a massive hue and cry by various sections of society over the Citizenship Amendment Act. Various sections of society are today taking to the streets in forms of violent protests in places like Delhi, Mumbai, and the other parts of India. But do we really understand what this act is all about? Do the people protesting about this particular amendment really know what this act is all about? I would like to shed some light on this and therefore also try to explain to you as the viewers whether the protests are justified or not. First of all, let's look at what the Citizenship Amendment Act is all about. India has a Citizenship Act 1955 which provides, or rather lays down the guidelines as to who can be citizens of India and how a person can become a citizen of India. Article 5 of our Constitution basically enables a person to be a citizen of India if he is born in India or either of his parents are born in India. However, the Citizenship Act of 1955 opens up the doors further by enabling people who are either born in India by way of naturalization, that is, if they spend more than 12 years in India, in the territories of India, by descent, that is, if either of their forefathers have been Indian citizens, or by registration, that is, by way of application. Now, the Citizenship Act has undergone several amendments over the past many decades. However, the latest amendment has created quite a stir amongst the society. So what is all this all about? Is it worth protesting for? A general outlook towards this can be seen that a lot of the people have not read the amendment in detail and have instead misconstrued the provisions of this amendment to something which it does not really state. So what is this amendment all about? What the amendment says is there are persecuted minorities in three primary neighborhoods of India, which include Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. The persecuted minorities include the Sikhs, Christians, Hindus, and Parsis. Now, let's not forget that pre-partition, all these communities, all these religions basically resided in one entire Indian subcontinent. However, post-partition, there are several of these communities who chose to remain back in the regions of Pakistan and Bangladesh, and also in certain regions of Afghanistan as well. Over the years, these countries have transformed themselves into becoming Islamic republics, that is, a Muslim-dominated regions, or rather countries, where their laws and all their rights are derived through personal laws, that is, through Islamic rights. This basically has ensured that the minorities have not been given the same rights in those countries as they should have deserved. Now, what the Indian government has basically done is that they have opened up its doors to these persecuted minorities to say that you can come back into the territories of India, seek citizenship by way of application, and the government will be more than happy to have you as a part of our citizenship. Now, why the hue and cry? Now, the amendment only speaks of Hindus, Christians, Parsis, and Sikhs. It somehow excludes the Muslims. But why exclude the Muslims? Because the amendment basically opens its doors to the neighborhoods of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. These are, like I said, Islamic countries where Muslims are in the majority. But does that mean that they are not persecuted, or they do not have the ways to apply for refuge or asylum into India and thereafter get citizenship? The answer is no. The Muslims from these countries can apply. The Muslims from these countries can gain citizenship, and therefore we put in the same categories as that of the other persecuted minorities. Now, let's look at it in a different perspective. The amendment bill has also opened the doors for something that is known as the NRC, rather the National Register of Citizens. Now, to understand what the NRC is all about, we have to go back slightly in history. There was a petition filed in 2011 before the Supreme Court, which basically spoke of a updation that was required for the NRC list that is applicable to the state of Assam since the year 1971. Now, what the Supreme Court did was Supreme Court set down guidelines to ensure that the updation of this particular list since 2013 was monitored by the Supreme Court and thereafter made completely applicable to the state of Assam. Recently, the government has indicated its intention to increase the scope of the NRC to the rest of the states of India. So, why are people worried about it? Why should you worry about it? Well, there's nothing to worry about, let me tell you that. The NRC basically says that whoever's name appears in the registry of citizens, they are legal citizens of this country. As simple as that. But how do you determine that you are a citizen or not? And how do you get your name onto the registry? Well, the Supreme Court has also laid down those guidelines which were applicable to Assam, and the same will be made applicable to the rest of India. What it means is that there are two types of documents that are required. List A documents and List B documents. List A documents basically include your birth certificates, your educational certificates, ration cards, passports, bank account details, or any other such documents which would determine that you are a citizen of this country. Why are people protesting? What is the reason for such vandalism and such violence to be created? Well, let's look at it in a different light. The opposition, rather the opposing parties and certain sections of the media today are using the Citizenship Amendment Bill and the ethos of the NRC to create a divide amongst the people of India when there shouldn't be any divide. Let's understand one thing. Both the NRC and the Citizenship Amendment Act do not intend to take away anybody's citizenship or violate the fundamental rights of any citizen of this country. We must understand that by way of this amendment, all it does is that it regularizes illegal immigration into India and ensures that the refugees and the asylum seekers are given the same social status and the citizenship status that our constitution provides. Another aspect we must understand, that this bill is not against any particular religion. This is not against Muslims. This is not against any other religion that has not been named in the recent amendment. Therefore, I appeal to all of you, please, first let's read what the bill says. Let's understand what the NRC is. And then post on the social media. Let's not create prejudice in the minds of people. To the educated people seeing this video, I say this: please don't become the literate ignorance. that is the worst form of ignorance that one can have. Because your posts, the posts that you put on Instagram, on Facebook, or any other social media, on Twitter, have long-lasting impacts. And not only do they divide people, but they also create unnecessary prejudice in the minds of the people. So let's get back, let's open our laptops, let's read about this bill, and then come out on the roads to protest. And if you still find something to protest about, then let's protest about it, not being ignorant about what's actually written there. Thank you.